Welcome back to another episode of Empowered Money Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Franks, and today I'm going to be reviewing my takeaways from the book Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martel. Now, the insights I share reflect my personal perspective and are intended for educational and commentary purposes under the fair use law. Any short excerpts I use will be properly attributed to the author. The podcast is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the author. If it's today's discussion sparks your interest, I encourage you to read the full book. I obviously would not be doing a review if I didn't. As a matter of fact, I just recommended this book to one of my clients that I think is really going to help him as he grows his business here. Now, a couple other things. I am not an accountant. I'm not an estate planning attorney. Although I am a financial advisor, I may not be your financial advisor yet. So make sure that any takeaways you have from this podcast, you talk to your team of professionals first. Without further ado, let's jump in to my review of Buy Back Your Time. So I'm just going to start personally here and say this book hit me like a ton of bricks. I listened to the Audible. I love the Audible. Some books are better when you read it. I love the Audible. I loved listening to it. And more importantly, it had like a podcast segment by the author after every single chapter where he was able to go deeper and tell a story and just reiterate that point there. And I love it when Audible books do that. And so I am a big fan of this Audible book. I'd recommend it to any business owner that is out there. Shoot, it can even help you out personally in some instances, but particularly this is built for the business owner that's in the growth phase of their business here. I don't want to go through every single point that they make. You can go get a summary online. I'm just going to talk to the ones that really spoke to me and I think might speak to you as well. So number one, it starts with the philosophy of you own your own business, not the other way around. We talk about this all the time. Our business is supposed to work for us, not the other way around. The truth is that almost every business owner, myself included, falls into this trap of working for our business, not being in control of it. We grind, we get things done, but we eventually hit a wall, right? And what this book does so well is it calls out people with what they call GSD mentality, the get shit done mentality. We know them, you might be it. As a matter of fact, if I sent this podcast to you, maybe it's because I think you have this mentality of getting shit done. Hard nose, run against the wall until the bricks budge, right? And the truth is, we know where that mentality leads. And it leads to burnout, and it leads to desperation, and eventually will lead to you being out of business. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, then the business will suffer. And not only that, when we have this GSD here, oftentimes we're working hard. Oftentimes we will not grow because more sales equals more work. Okay. I've been there. I have limited growth in the past because I'm worried that the result and the reward of hard work is more hard work. And that sounds crazy, but when you're doing everything in your company and you are putting yourself and your reputation on the line, it's just really a question of quality control. Can you control the quality if you continue to grow? And so oftentimes we'll do stuff on the marketing side that works so well that we grow, and then we slow down the marketing because we're worried if we grew anymore, we wouldn't be able to handle this, right? And so that's where buying back your time is so critical here. And I think that Dan Martel just does such a good job of he calls this the entrepreneurial prison right here. We're in prison by our own self-limiting beliefs that, hey, if we sell more, if we work harder, that means we're going to have to work even harder. There's a lot of truth to that unless you read this book and implement the Buy Back Your Time system here, right? So this book calls to only do the one thing that you could do better than anybody else, delegate the rest. Oftentimes with business owners, it's really hard to delegate the actual sales side, the actual growth side, the visioneering side, right? And so when we're working with business owners, it's like, hey, all the extra stuff you do, from checking your email to doing your QuickBooks, right? Let's find a good trusted partner to do that for you so that you can get in front of the camera and do one more Instagram reel that day, right? Or so that you can get back and get on the phones and start dialing again, right? And only doing what you can do right there. Okay, so it talks a lot about something called the buyback loop. How do we do this? How do we buy back our time, right? Once again, I'm not here to tell you how, read the book, right? But I do want to summarize this buyback loop of audit, transfer, fill. And he's going to repeat this in his book multiple times. Audit, transfer, fill. What does this mean? Audit, take inventory of everything that you do. Okay. And also take inventory of what drains your energy, what tasks are $10 an hour tasks when your time is worth $250 an hour, right? But write down everything that you do. How else are you going to know where your time's going if you don't do a time audit? So it all starts with a time audit. I've done these in the past. They work so well that I stopped doing them. It's unbelievable. It doesn't take too much time for me. It's just documenting what you're doing when you're doing it. And you're going to get a really clear picture in about 2 weeks of where your time is going. And you're going to be able to take a step back, look at your business and say, what am I going to, if I'm a $250 an hour guy or gal, what am I doing that is less than that 250? And it's going to give you an idea of what you could do with the next step, which is transfer. Once we audit, once we have identified our actions, we then transfer, which is just outsourcing, delegating those tasks to somebody else here, and then fill. This is a third thing that's so important. A lot of business owners will audit. A lot of business owners will transfer, and then they get extra time on their calendar and they waste it. Why? Because oftentimes they were so burnt out and tired of running a million miles a minute. We finally get to take a breath, right? Hey, you're a business owner. This buy back your time doesn't mean you get to work any less, right? Just means you're working on more high value stuff, right? So we audit what we're doing. We're going to transfer it out, and then we're going to fill that time on what he calls your genius zone, that thing that only you can do so well, right? The thing that really creates real growth and hopefully fulfillment for you emotionally. If growing your company is not exciting and fulfilling to you, then I think we may need to reevaluate some other things. Like, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? But in general, we want to audit what you're doing, transfer as much of it as possible, and fill that time with high value activities that are going to help you create real growth and stuff that you get really energized for. Right. So, let's put some numbers behind it real quick. Like, okay, let's say you make $250,000 a year. Let's divide that by 8,000 hours. That's your buyback rate. Okay. So that's your buyback rate is this ratio that they do is basically saying, hey, anything below this, you outsource. All right. So if you make $250,000 a year, you divide that by 8,000 hours. I forget how he gets that, but your buyback rate is about $31 an hour. Okay. It means if you can hire somebody else to do this for less than $31 an hour, do it. You're actually losing money by doing it yourself. Right. So stop saying you can't afford help. Maybe you're not doing 250, right? Maybe you're doing 125 of profit. Okay. And your buyback rate is less than $15. Well, hey, there's a lot of virtual assistants out there that will work for that. Okay. So make certain that you can afford help. What you can't afford to do, you almost can't afford not to, right? So stop saying you can't afford it. You almost can't afford not to. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about the mentality of a business owner and what I like to call this chaos theory here. This hit me hard. Okay. Most entrepreneurs are addicted to chaos. You know it. I know it. We oftentimes entrepreneurs grew up in it. And there's studies that have been done that say, hey, the more chaotic of an environment, the better you are as an entrepreneur because you can handle the stress and the chaos of it. And oftentimes we thrive in it and subconsciously create it. How crazy is that? The chaos that we hate operating in is oftentimes created subconsciously by us. Isn't that nuts? Right? So the problem is chaos. It feels like momentum. Hey, I'm doing this. I'm checking this box, checking that box, answering this email, making that phone call. I'm in the zone, baby. Get the energy going, right? And it feels like momentum when it's really friction. Keep that in mind, right? Busyness does not equal productivity here. And he makes a great point here is that if we don't reflect, like we don't learn from experience. Everybody thinks, oh, we learn from experience. No. You learn from reflecting on that experience. So if we're not taking time each afternoon to do what my old firm used to call post and plan, but basically take a reflection. Hey, what were our wins today? What were our losses? What should we have gotten done that we did not get done, right? If we're not taking a day to look at all the activity we did and say, what progress did we make here? Then we're doing ourselves a disservice. We're not learning, right? We're just doing, right? We got to take some time to reflect on the past and say, okay, what do we do right? What do we do wrong? Right. So you can outsource almost anything. I do want to be clear. It gets expensive, right? Outsourcing your house cleaning, outsourcing your yard service. These are all things that we commonly do, but it can get expensive over time. That being said, you know, outsource pretty much everything except for your health And oftentimes, as a business owner, we need to remind ourselves that our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, man, if we don't take care of number one here, our business will suffer, right? I want you to think about a Venn diagram that has a personal circle, your financial circle, and your business circle, and they all overlap in the middle. I want to be clear, if any one of those takes a step back, they all suffer. You will be capped by each of those circles. If you're not taking care of your health, your wealth, your mindset, right? Your leadership capability, your business will only be able to grow as large as you are as a leader, right? We got to grow. We got to grow ourselves as a leader so that our business can grow here on that, right? And so your health, physical, mental, emotional, is so important to the growth of that business, and we cannot outsource that. So we do need to prioritize it. All right. So how do we actually buy back our time? Step one, and this was such a game changer for me: hire to buy back your time, not to grow your business. I know when I think about building my team, I'm looking for other advisors who will go out there and get business. That's the quickest way for us to grow. The thing is here is that what this is saying is that, hey, Alan, nobody can grow your business like you can, right? Nobody can. And I would say, hey, if Mr. Business Owner, nobody is going to be the best salesperson that you are going to be. Nobody believes in the vision of this future. Nobody's more committed. Nobody sees that clear vision like you do. Nobody hopefully can transmit that energy, enthusiasm like you can, right? So quit hiring to grow the business. Start hiring to buy back your time so that you can transmit that enthusiasm to more people, more in a larger percentage of the day here. And then growth is just going to be a natural byproduct. Here's the good news is that that means you don't have to pay somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars to come in. Because guess what? People who help businesses grow, they're expensive, right? It means that you can hire people to help take away the tasks that are muddying up your day so that you can go grow that business. And it uses this rule, man. I think this rule is so cool. The 10-80-10 rule. It says when you're delegating here, I want you to spend 10% of the time of you setting the vision, not telling people how to do it. If you tell people how to do it, you're going to limit their ability to grow, their ability to learn. And also, you probably do not know the best way to do it. There's probably a better way. Let them go explore that, right? So don't tell them what to do or how to do it, right? Set the vision of what you're looking to accomplish with this goal. Let them do 80% of the execution. And then the last 10%, you come in, you approve it, you polish it up. You say, I love it, but I want it to read this way, right? The 10-80-10 rule. Okay. 10%, hey, here's what I'm looking at doing. 80%, they're executing. The last 10%, you're coming through to check here, right? Almost like a really good chef in a kitchen. Hey, we get an order. Here's exactly what we want, right? We're going to have all the sous chefs do what they do. And then the person on the line is going to check the meal, make certain it's perfect before it gets sent out to the diner. Oh, great. So here's the deal. As you're doing this, as you're delegating, your team needs to be creating playbooks. They need to be creating repeatable process. We need to become the McDonald's of running a business, right? And the best way to do this is the author talks about the camcorder method. It's not that you train, it's that you just record yourself doing the task, okay? Do the task, save the video, and let your team use it for training. And this is how you scale consistently, right? This is how you also scale consistency within your business, right? And just remember, and this is, you repeats this a lot throughout the book, 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome. Okay. 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome. And he repeats it, and I think that there's a good reason why. But I do love the camcorder method, and I do it all the time. I share my screen, I record, and then it's there for my staff to use going forward. Right. Now he talks about, yes, but what about this one-off? And each one's just a little bit different. He said, realistically, about 90% of it's always going to be the same. There's going to be little one-offs, and then you just record it. And pretty soon you got a recording for each one-off here. Okay. Okay. Hey, he talks a little bit about time blocking and energy management here, structuring the week intentionally here. It talks about grouping things because things have different energy. Like right now, I'm recording this podcast on a Monday. I've already recorded two other podcasts today. Why? Because I've got podcast energy today. I had two great podcasts. I love doing podcasts, man. It got me energized. And yeah, I could have gone and checked my email, but I said, you know what? I just talked to a business owner about this book. I need to do my podcast on this book, right? So, anyways, I block off my Mondays for marketing, market Mondays. Okay. Marketing Mondays. Marketing gets done on Mondays. I come in, I get good night's sleep on Sunday. I get good vibes going Monday morning because I know, hey, I don't have time to ease into the week. I want to be on camcorder today. I got to bring my A energy, right? Now, tomorrow, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do any podcasting, any marketing tomorrow. Tuesday through Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm full meetings, back to back to back to back meetings, right? Now, ideally, this would say, hey, maybe I lump my quarterly reviews on one day and then my other meetings the next day. And that can get a little challenging there. But I do believe that, hey, doing marketing on Mondays, leaving Fridays open so that I can look back and reflect on the week and also get really prepared for the next week is super important as well. And so, yeah, he's great at it's just a reminder here that, hey, we do need to group our time to be more efficient on here. But I love the analogy, man. We have different energy for different things. So therefore, don't go from a podcast to a quarterly review to a brand new meeting with a prospect, right? Book them all together. Okay. It talks a lot about coaching people and feedback and just how important it is to have a really good feedback rich culture here. I think we forget that. We gotta give our staff feedback, and they gotta be willing to give us feedback, or else we hire the wrong person or we're not treating them well. Right. But he talks about this coach framework. C stands for core issue, look for patterns. A stands for actual story, share your own vulnerability here, and C stands for change. Help them decide what needs to shift here, right? Build a feedback rich culture. Okay. So, hey, visions here and final takeaways. All right. The goal is not just to buy back time, it's to build a life you don't want to escape from. I will tell you, as a business owner, burnout is real and it is scary. And it's happened to me multiple times. And when it happens, there's absolutely nothing you can do. The train's on the tracks, it's heading 100 miles an hour here. You're already burned out and you've got to stay in the train and you just got to wait. And you just got to wait. And you just got to have faith that you're going to get through this here. But we can be proactive about this because that's a very scary moment there. And you lose a lot, right? Yeah, I know when I get burned out, I basically stop all proactive activity and just get through the day. It's not fun. It's scary, right? We can be proactive here. We can hire people to buy back our time so that we are doing what we truly love. And I think as a business owner, we have to envision that world, that life where we are only doing what we really enjoy doing. And we've got to work every day to build that because W-2 employees are never going to have that freedom. As a business owner, you have that freedom. You have that ability to build your ideal life here. We just got to believe that we can actually do it because what happens is we get sucked down in this whirlwind of BS that runs and flies around us throughout the day, right? We call that the whirlwind, right? And that whirlwind will keep us from doing the most important things that we need to do it, right? So it's not about just buying back your time. It's about building that life that you really, really crave, right? And so when we're looking at this, he mentioned 7 pillars: family, friendships, finances, fitness, faith, fun, and fulfillment. And he talks about this Marianne Williamson quote of playing small serves no one. I'm reading a book right now called The Science of Scaling. I'll do something on that here, but it's basically, hey, small goals, they don't matter, right? Like they're not going to move the needle. The goal of setting a goal is not to hit the goal. Anybody who's ever hit their goal has been totally underwhelmed. It's not. There's this sinking feeling whenever you hit the goal of like, man, that's it. It's not about the goal. It's about the journey of hitting the goal. We gotta, that's where the fun is, and it's not like, oh, you gotta embrace grind. No, it's like, hey, the fun part is progress and getting and executing and hitting and getting close to hitting those goals, right? And so having these small goals, it's not going to move the needle. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to hit it. We got to hit large goals, not for the sake of hitting those goals, but for the sake of who we are going to become, who we have to become in order to hit those goals. Right. So, hey, that's all I've got on this book. A 10 out of 10, no notes. Highly recommend the Audible here. And I just want to thank you for turning into another episode of Empowered Money. Hopefully, this book helps you think differently about your time here. If you like it, please share it with a friend here. And then obviously take some time to like and subscribe to our podcast. Thanks so much for your time here today. I'll see you next time.